On the day I was sold back to the trafficker by my own mother, I shut my mouth before any scream could escape. In my previous life, my cries for help had only earned me a decade of torment at her hands. Just before I jumped to my death from depression, I broke down and asked her one last time, "Why did you do this to me?" Her twisted face was full of resentment. "Why? How dare you ask why? If you hadn't seduced Yen Zhou with your little vixen ways, how could he have stopped loving me?" Hearing her words, the tears and snot on my face froze. "Su Yenzhou is my father." The next second, I suddenly burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha. So the 13 years of my suffering turned out to be for such an absurd reason. I leaned back and leaped off the rooftop. Reborn. I smiled and climbed into the trafficker's van. Because of the burn scars on my face, no one would buy me, so the trafficker decided to bury me alive. A disabled couple saved me. In my previous life, as I leaped off the rooftop, the last thing I saw was Lin Tingshua's smiling eyes. Unexpectedly, when I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my own mother, Lin Tingxua, sold me off. The trafficker held me in his arms, rushing hurriedly across the street. In the dim alley opposite, a van was waiting for him. In my previous life, I drank the milk Lin Tingxua handed me. That was the first time in 3 years she had given me something. And she smiled at me so gently. I was overjoyed, thinking Mom finally loved me. Perhaps the sedative wasn't strong enough. I woke up in the middle, seeing a stranger. I burst into tears, crying out, "Mom!" Passers-by immediately turned their eyes toward us. The trafficker immediately put on a fawning smile to coax me. "Don't cry, baby. Mommy is waiting for us at home. We just need to cross the street and we'll be there." Then he lowered his head and shot me a venomous glare, his voice squeezing through clenched teeth. "You little brat. Cry again and I'll strangle you." Terrified by him, I started hiccuping, my lips pursed and tears welling up in my eyes. But I dared not cry out loud again. As we crossed the zebra crossing, he avoided the traffic police's gaze and shrank into the crowd. The moment I caught sight of the traffic police officers, I immediately burst into tears to get their attention. In the end, I was taken home and beaten by Lin Tingxua. "Why did you scream? Why didn't you go with the traffickers?" "Huh, huh. In this life, I'll give her exactly what she wanted." I gently tilted my head and squinted through a narrow gap, and sure enough, I saw the traffic police officer directing traffic. I immediately closed my eyes and said to myself, "Thank you." In my previous life, held back by Lin Tingxua, I never even got to say a word of thanks. The trafficker shoved me into the car. The man in the driver's seat casually asked, "Old Zhang, how's the quality of this shipment? Haven't taken a close look yet." Old Zhang grumbled, casually pulling off the mask from my face. The car instantly fell silent. Immediately, 2 sharp intakes of breath were heard at the same time. Oh my God, I thought I wouldn't care anymore, but I still felt a faint ache in my chest. If old Zhang had seen my face earlier, there's no way he would have taken the job. I instinctively wanted to raise my hand to cover my face, but then remembered I was supposed to be unconscious, so I had to force myself to hold still. An overwhelming wave of sorrow welled up in my heart, drowning me. I will never forget how, when I was 1 year old, Lin Tingxua smiled as she coaxed me to wobble toward the kitchen, toward that kettle of scalding water. I was in and out of the ICU 3 times. I heard that my mother, Lin Tingxua, cried until she fainted. When she came to, she stayed outside the ICU without a drop of water, refusing everyone who tried to persuade her, merely shaking her head. Everyone said, "It's not your fault. Take care of yourself." And my father, Su Yenzhou, held her even tighter with a pained voice full of regret. "Tingxua, seeing you like this, I regret it. If I had known she would bring you so much pain, I would never have insisted on having her. It's all my fault." Later, I managed to survive by chance, with 80% burns all over my body and the right side of my face completely destroyed. She threw herself on me, weeping as if her heart would break, yet whispered in my ear in the gentlest voice, "If you dare say I let you into the kitchen, I'll throw you away." Looking back, it's just ridiculous. Back then, I couldn't even talk yet. Damn it, that bitch screwed me over. Old Zhang cursed, yanked open the car door in a huff, and motioned for me to get out. Old Zhang, are you out of your mind? Old Li, in the driver's seat, grabbed him, slammed the door shut with a bang, and glared at him. "What do we do for a living? Everyone has the right to deal with people like them. And you want to walk right into the trap. Then what do you suggest I do, old Zhang tossed me onto the seat and lit a cigarette in frustration. $3,000. I was counting on this trip to make some money so I could take my son to an amusement park. Now it's all down the drain. Smoke filled the car, Oldly sighed. Just throw it away. Stuff like this won't sell for anything. No way. Old Zhang took a fierce drag of his cigarette. What if there's some place out there that actually likes this kind of thing? Old Zhang. Oldly slapped the cigarette out of his hand, pointed at him angrily, and cut him off. We're no saints, but that doesn't mean we'd stoop to doing something as vile as that for money, not even if it meant our own kids being born without an asshole. The car sped through the mountain forest. Inside the vehicle, the other children gradually woke up one after another, their cries and wails rising in waves. Only I shrank silently in the corner. Stop your fucking crying. Old Zhang, sitting in the passenger seat, suddenly slammed his hand on the seat and turned around with a ferocious look, threatening, cry again, and I'll throw you all out to feed the wolves. Before his words faded, a long, drawn-out wolf howl truly echoed from the pitch-black night. The crying stopped abruptly, for the car had broken down on a mountain road, and I knew this was my only chance. I immediately shook awake all the children in the car and lowered my voice. I'm going to lure one of them away. You run as soon as you can. If you're too scared, hide first. And go find the police at daybreak. With that, I climbed out through the car window and deliberately kicked some stones. Oldly, who was fixing the car, didn't move, but old Zhang came chasing after me, cursing, "You little brat, I'll break your legs." I ran for my life, tree branches scraping painfully across my face, to buy them as much time as possible. I ran in circles again and again. When he caught me, old Zhang slapped me so hard that my head spun, and my cheek instantly swelled up. Back at the car, only 2 children were missing. Old Zhang stood before us, his expression calm, yet his whole demeanor was teetering on the edge of rage. Who came up with this idea? Speak up, and I'll send him home. The children exchanged uneasy glances. Really? A boy whispered. Of course, old Zhang said with a grin. One less won't make a difference. The girl in patched clothes beside me furrowed her brows. Don't believe him. How can you listen to a human trafficker? Before she could finish, old Zhang kicked out. I instinctively lunged to shield her, and both of us were sent tumbling several meters away. Shut up. Old Zhang turned around and continued pressing. Have you made up your mind? In the end, the boy who had spoken trembled and pointed at me. It's her. Old Zhang grabbed me and lifted me up, sneering. Huh, you cost me $3,000, and I haven't even settled that score with you yet. But here you are playing the hero. He threw me to the ground and stomped hard on my knee. I gritted my teeth, refusing to let a sound escape. Got some backbone. Huh. He lifted his foot and brought it down hard. Crack. The excruciating pain turned my vision white, and I couldn't help but curl up and let out a piercing scream. Did everyone see that clearly? Old Zhang's voice was bone-chilling in the mountain night. If anyone dares to run again, this will be the consequence. 5. The truck continued moving through the night. Fewer and fewer children remained on the truck, until in the end, only the girl in patched clothes, Area, and I were left. The reason she was left behind was that when the buyer tried to pull her out of the vehicle, she turned and bit the man, and also kicked the woman. Thank you for stepping in front of me back then. She approached me cautiously, her voice very soft. Otherwise, I might have been kicked to death. My name is Area. What's yours? I gazed out the window at the dark mountain silhouettes rushing past, and said casually, I didn't mean to save you. It's just didn't want to live anymore. I don't know why I was reborn, nor do I have any desire to go through this life again. I'm just too tired. Seeing that I remained silent, she began to pour out her heart in a low voice. She said no one had ever been so kind to her before. She was the second child in the family, an older sister above her, and a pair of fraternal twins below. The older sister, the younger sister, and the younger brother all had proper names, but she was simply called second girl. This time, it was her own mother who personally handed her over to the traffickers. I turned my head to look at her. Her face showed little emotion, as calm as if she were telling someone else's story. Are you sad? I suddenly asked. Her eyes suddenly lit up. You're finally willing to talk to me. Are you sad? I repeated. Not sad. She answered quickly, her voice resolute. They don't love me, and I don't love them anymore. But just as she said this, I saw a large tear fall unexpectedly from her eye. Landing heavily on her clothes, she hastily wiped it away and stubbornly repeated, "Not sad, there's nothing to be sad about." 6. Old Zhang and Old Li, seeing that we still couldn't sell, vented all their rage on me and Arya. Every time, Arya unhesitatingly shielded me with her body, using her thin back to block most of the blows. After another beating, all the emotions I had been suppressing finally erupted. I suddenly pushed her away, pointed at the twisted right side of my face, and screamed at her, "See this? My own mother did it. I'm not trying to save you by standing in front of you. I just want to die. I've had enough of living. There's nothing left in this world worth holding onto for me. Can you stop meddling and just let them beat me to death already?" Era was frightened by the way I looked. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. She was only a year older than me. Silence spread between us. I hung my head, overcome with guilt. In my previous life, I had already been 13 when I died, an adult, really, but I still couldn't control my temper and lashed out at her. Just as I was about to apologize, I saw her lower her head, her eyes scanning each stone. She would pick one up, shake her head, and put it back down. I walked over. In the next instant, my eyes widened and I rushed forward. 7. No, I dashed over like a madman, snatching the blood-stained stone from her hand, my voice trembling. "Arya, are you crazy?" She looked at me, her face covered in blood, yet she managed to force a smile. "I didn't know how to persuade you. This was the only way I could think of. Now we're the same. Can we survive together?" Blood kept pouring from the wound on her cheek. In a panic, I bit through my own cotton underwear and frantically pressed it against the wound to stop the bleeding. "Don't talk. I'll beg them to take you to the hospital." Just as I turned to leave, she grabbed me tightly and held me back. "Don't go, they won't care. No matter what, I have to try, sure." Enough. After hearing my plea, Old Zhang immediately kicked out at me, but I was ready. I rolled with the movement, deflecting most of the force. "Damn it, better off dead. Stop bothering me." Arya rushed over to help me up, tears streaming down her face in panic. "Are you okay? I told you not to go." Looking at her anxious face, I smiled. "The first since my rebirth. I'm fine." We turned around, supporting each other. Just then, Old Zhang's voice came from behind us as he spoke on the phone, in a tone gentler than we had ever heard from him. "Son, did you miss Daddy? Be good. Once Daddy is done with this trip, I'll take you to the amusement park. Soon, very soon, we'll be back. Be good and listen to your mom at home." 8. We have been buried alive. No one wants to buy us anymore. One is disfigured and simple-minded, the other disfigured and crippled in the leg. Arya developed a high fever due to her festering wound, which damaged her brain and left her dull and foolish. I held her tightly as clumps of earth rained down on us, filling my ears, my mouth, my eyes. Sleep now, my dear Chensi." I gently patted her back, humming a tuneless melody. This was the new name she had pestered me to give her when she was delirious with a high fever. Chensi *. In your next life, you must go to a family filled with love. The breathing in my arms grew faint, and my own consciousness began to blur as the air in my lungs was slowly drained away. This time, it's probably really the end. Chensi means morning light, or dawn, in Chinese. What a pity. 9. When I woke up again, I was in a shabby yet incredibly cozy room. "Sis, you're finally awake." Chensi rushed to the bedside, her voice loud and clear. A couple walked in. Upon hearing the sound, my gaze involuntarily fell on the man's slightly limp right leg, then shifted to the scar on the woman's right cheek. The scar looked somewhat similar to the one on Chensi's face. Later, I learned that the man's name was Chindague. His leg had been crippled by bullies when he tried to save a girl from being assaulted. But the girl later turned against him and falsely accused him. He ended up serving several years in prison and had only been out for 2. The woman had a pleasant name, Wang Xiuxiu. She had been sold into the mountains by human traffickers. To protect her chastity, she cut her own face with a stone. In the end, Chendague spent all his savings, 8,000 yuan, to buy her freedom. He escorted her home, but her parents refused to take her back, saying she was tainted, so she followed him back. Again, 2 people abandoned by the world began living together like that. That day, they had gotten lost gathering wild produce in the mountains when they stumbled upon human traffickers burying us alive. They hid for half an hour, and after making sure it was safe, they dug us out with their bare hands. They wanted to take us to the police station, but I flatly refused. Seeing this, Chen Daegu let out a sigh. While Wang Xiuxiu silently made the bed. Stay for now, she said, this is home, just let us know whenever you feel like leaving. We settled in. Chen Dague had excellent carpentry skills, and before long, the yard had a seesaw, a small wooden horse, and a slide. Wang Xiuxiu knew how to sew, so Chen Si and I were soon wearing brand new, well-fitted clothes embroidered with different animals and flowers. 10. In the blink of an eye, I was 6, and Chen Si was 7. The morning light seemed fine, just always reacting a beat too slow, its gaze at people veiled in a hazy mist of bewilderment. Chen Dague and Wang Xiuxiu discussed and decided to send us to school that night. Those memories I had deliberately sealed away, reeking with the stench of old years, once again swallowed me whole. I remembered being stuffed into kindergarten by Lin Tingxue when I was 4 years old. The strange looks from the other children stung me, leaving me at a loss. I want to go home, but Lin Tingxue's phone is always unreachable. They call me a monster. None of them will play with me. Whenever a child wants to play with me, they say, don't play with the monster, or you'll become ugly too. One day, I skipped school. I ran desperately toward my father's company, hoping to ask him for help. The office door was slightly ajar. I saw my father pressing the secretary aunt down on the sofa, doing something shameful. The secretary aunt panted and asked, why are you so nice to that ugly daughter of yours? My father's voice was muffled. If I weren't nice to her, wouldn't that lunatic Lin Tingxue be pestering me every single day? Then I'd never have time to come to you. I really don't understand what you saw in Lin Tingxue back then. The secretary's voice carried a hint of mockery. She actually gets jealous that you treat your own daughter well, and she constantly lashes out at the child. I suspect that burn on little Xuyang's body was done by her. No way. My father paused mid-motion. Just then, I pushed the door open and asked innocently, Dad, are you done with your work? Two startled faces turned to me at the same time. In the car on the way home, he gently ruffled my hair and said, sweetheart, this is a secret between you and me, don't tell Mom, okay? I hesitated, then nodded, not understanding why I couldn't tell Mom. The next day, he transferred me to a new school, but sunlight couldn't reach the corners. Everything I went through was no different. 11. This life really does feel different. The children's malice remains as sincere and piercing as ever. The name, ugly monster, hasn't gone away, but this time, the moment the words left their mouths, Chenxi's fists were already flying. She beat up every child who insulted me, until none of them dared speak a word to my face again. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, the day had come, the very same day in my previous life when I leaped from the rooftop. I sat alone atop a high grain pile, gazing up at the same stretch of starry sky. Those putrid memories haven't visited my dreams for a long time now. I can almost still see Lin Tingxue, leaving me behind with a high fever, rushing into the rain just to hand Su Yenzhou an umbrella. A call from Su Yenzhou saying he wouldn't be home for dinner left me hungry all night, and those birthday gifts torn to shreds by Lin Tingxue in her frenzy, accompanied by her hysterical curse. You little bitch, why does he remember your birthday, but forget mine alone? But these scenes are gradually fading, losing their color. Taking their place is Chen Dague, grabbing the boy who cursed me, giving him a severe beating, and warning him word by word, if you dare curse my daughter again, I'll beat up your whole family. It was the birthday gift Wang Xiuxiu never failed to send me every year, from a pencil to a tape recorder, each cherished and filling my drawer. It was Chenxi, clenching her little fists and standing in front of me, her voice loud and clear. Don't be scared, sis. I'll help you beat them till they wet their pants. As the night breeze blew, I sat on a pile of hay and suddenly realized that the hatred and pain that once devoured me had somehow been quietly buried beneath this rough yet burning love. 12. The next morning, watching the two of them bustling around the stove, the words that had been lingering in my heart for so long finally came out naturally. Dad, Mom, I'm heading out. They were taken aback for a moment. Then smiles blossomed on their faces like sunshine. I stepped out of the house, reached out my hand, and steadily caught the first ray of morning light falling from the sky. This is my new beginning. I taught my dad how to shoot short videos, documenting his woodworking and my mom's dressmaking routines. At first, no one paid much attention, until a wealthy second-generation heir challenged him online. asking my dad to replicate an ancient step bed, once used by noble ladies. My dad worked tirelessly for a month. When that exquisitely crafted bed appeared in the video, the heir was thoroughly convinced, paid the full amount, but insisted on leaving the bed with us. This craft deserves to be seen by more people, he said. After that, Dad's video finally went viral. The high school entrance exam results were released, and I got into the county's key high school unexpectedly. Chensi also got the admission letter along with me. As a sports student, I never knew Chensi was that physically fit. It wasn't until the physical fitness test in the first year of junior high that the PE teacher was pleasantly surprised to find that this girl, who always seemed half a beat slow in her reactions, could run like the wind. To keep us company, Dad used the money he had saved up from making videos to buy a small home in the county town. The sun shines bright, and the road ahead is clear. 13. Another 3 years have passed in the blink of an eye. I was buried under a sea of college entrance exam questions, while Chensi, relying on legs that could outrun fate, stepped into the national team. On the day of farewell, at the train platform, she held me and cried her heart out. "Sister, you must come to Jing City to find me, you must." I stroked her soft hair and replied over and over, "Okay, I will definitely go." Watching her figure disappear at the gate, a surge of heat welled up in my eyes. Deep in my heart, I have always harbored a deep sense of guilt. Back then, Chensi disfigured herself and damaged her brain just to comfort me. I once swore to take care of her for the rest of my life. But what I truly hope for is that she can have her own brilliant and dazzling life now. Through her own hard work, she has made it onto the national team. This joy makes me genuinely happier than if I had gotten into any university myself. The night I saw her off, I dreamed of the dawn of a past life. In the dream, she was sold to the first family. At first, she had enough to eat and wear, until the foster mother gave birth to her own child. Then she became an eyesore. Hunger and cold were nothing compared to the terror of her foster father's hands wandering over her body, and her foster mother's deliberate blindness. She ran away, but there were mountains upon mountains, and no way out. Once someone went missing, the whole village would raise their torches and hunt her down like prey. In her previous life, at the age of 18, she poisoned the entire village with ruthless resolve, making it her burial ground. Afterward, she quietly ended her own life. Her body was not discovered by a neighboring villager until it had begun to decompose. After all, the sins committed by that village had long made it a place others avoided at all costs. I jolted awake from the dream, drenched in cold sweat, my heart racing wildly. Outside the window, the morning sun had just risen, flooding everything with light. I took a deep breath. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. 14. As the top scorer in the city, I filled in Peking University Health Science Center on my application form. The moment I clicked confirm, I subconsciously touched my right cheek, the uneven burn scar that had been with me since I was 1 year old. This wound was never meant to be so hideous. It was Lin Tingxue who, time and again when doctors recommended surgery, tearfully pleaded, "Shuyang is still so young, surgery is too dangerous, I can't bear to see her suffer." And Su Yenzhou always played the role of the devoted echoer by her side. Anyone who saw them would praise him for being a loving husband. Family and friends urged him, "Yenzhou, you can't just listen to her every time, Xiao Su. If she has the surgery now, she won't grow up feeling inferior." Su Yenzhou sighed helplessly to the crowd. "I know, but Tingxue is the child's mother, and she just cares about the child. I've tried to convince her, but she..." His hesitant expression made the relatives and friends shake their heads, turning to criticize Lin Tingxue. "What's wrong with you as a mother? Now is the best time for the child to have the surgery. No matter how much you hate to see the child suffer, you have to think about her future." Lin Tingxue let everything go in one ear and out the other, simply refusing to listen. Later, I realized that the more Su Yenzhou acted like he loved me, the more he was fueling Lin Tingxue's madness. He stood aloof from it all, while all her resentment, jealousy, and unwillingness poured out onto me. During those 13 years in hell, Su Yenzhou's contribution was no less than Lin Tingxue's. Whether in this life or past lives, the strange looks caused by the burn scar covering half of that face have never ceased. After being saved, I often found myself gazing at the deep mark on Chensi's face, carved for my sake. The seed of wanting to study medicine was planted in that very moment. Later, when she became an athlete, the online vitriol came pouring in, curses like ugly monster, and her whole family must have done evil deeds to deserve this, followed her everywhere. I hope that one day, I can repair with my own hands this scar on her face, caused by me, that became my obsession. I calmly submitted my application. Just before the webpage closed, a trending topic caught my eye. Hashtag Su Yenzhou of Su Group caught in a hotel cheating scandal by his wife. Hashtag. I closed my laptop with a blank expression, feeling not a single ripple in my heart. 15. Little did I know that the person I least wanted to see would crash into my new life in such an unexpected and sudden way. On the day of university registration, someone suddenly grabbed me at the school gate, and a voice called out, "Big sister," from behind. I turned around, looked at the young boy who shared my bloodline, and said distantly, "Sorry, you've mistaken me for someone else." The light in his eyes instantly dimmed, tears welling up, as he softly apologized. "I'm sorry, my eyes must have played tricks on me." My parents cast me a puzzled look. I immediately put on a relaxed smile and naturally took their arms. "He mistook me for someone else. Mom, Dad, let's hurry up, don't we still need to tour the campus?" Right, let's go, let's go." I led them away cheerfully, chatting and laughing. My parents weren't comfortable with me staying in the dorm, so they specially rented a place near the school, and my mom personally took care of my daily needs. After settling in, we went together to watch the morning glow. At the entrance of the training base, Chensi rushed over like a little bird and hugged me tightly. "Sister, you've finally come. I've missed you so much, I'm nearly lovesick." I chuckled and tapped her forehead lightly. "Silly girl, that's not quite how you use lovesick." "Oh dear, Mom and Dad, look, sister is picking on me." She turned around and nestled into our parents' arms, acting playfully. All right, we'll help you get back at her," they said, laughing as they gave my shoulder a symbolic gentle tap. I immediately covered my shoulder and put on an exaggerated pained expression. "Ouch, that hurts so much." Chensi burst into giggles, thoroughly amused by me. 16. My military training began, but Su Jiuli always stood at a moderate distance, watching me. This quickly drew pointing and murmurs from the classmates. "No way the academic god likes this ugly girl, right? Impossible. If my idol were to like anyone, it should be the school beauty by Wan Qing. Then why does he look at Chen Jianing every day with those resentful, aggrieved eyes?" Su Shuyang was my past life. Chen Jianing is my rebirth. The gossip and rumors are driving me crazy. Finally, after another instance of him following me, I turned around and walked straight up to him. "Su Jiuli," my tone icy, "could you please stop staring at me?" He lowered his head as if stung, his voice carrying a hint of grievance. "I'm sorry, I was just what? Trying to make up for something." I cut him off mercilessly. "I don't need it, let me tell you. As long as no one from the Su family provokes me, I can live a very, very happy life." He jerked his head up, his face pale, his lips moved, but no words came out. From then on, that haunting gaze finally vanished completely. 17. Su Jiuli, my younger brother, a genius with an IQ of 180. In my previous life, after he was born, Lin Tingxue poured all her maternal love into him. She would soothe him, play with him, buy him countless toys, but strictly forbade me from getting close. Once, when she was away, I secretly went to look at him in the crib. He was so small, so soft. Just as I reached out my hand, Lin Tingxue, who had returned, shoved me hard, and my back slammed against the corner of the table. "What are you trying to do?" Her scream scared him into crying. Then she kicked me, holding him and soothing. "Don't cry, baby." Mommy hit her. Because of his birth, my grandparents, who had always looked down on Lin Tingxue, stepped into our home for the first time and became much kinder to me. But Lin Tingxue raised him to be bossy and selfish. He took my things, splashed water on my bed, and hit me at every turn. While Lin Tingxue only encouraged him. When his grandparents caught him, they would scold him, but that only led to even harsher retaliation from him afterward. Until he was 7 or 8, it seemed he suddenly developed a sense of right and wrong, and awkwardly apologized to me. Later, when Lin Tingxue put me in confinement, he would try to stop her and secretly bring me food. He didn't dare let me out because the confinement room had surveillance cameras. The one time he secretly released me and Lin Tingxue found out, my confinement time was doubled, and I nearly starved to death. The fear And guilt in his eyes were so obvious, yet so powerless. So, when he called out, "Sis," at the university gate, I knew that he had also been reborn, but in this life, between us lay too many unbearable memories from the past, unable to forgive, unable to grow close. Let it be, wishing each other well is the best ending for us. 18, in my senior year of college. The scar removal treatment I had poured all my efforts into was finally successfully developed. Over the years, I traveled across the country as a patient, seeking out renowned traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. I asked them to diagnose me and prescribe treatments for the old burn scars on my face. After each consultation, I carefully analyzed the medicinal ingredients they gave me, recording the reactions and subtle changes brought on by each prescription. The lab lights witnessed countless sleepless nights. I've lost track of how many times I failed. It was only when I combined the ancient wisdom of traditional Chinese medicine with the molecular techniques of modern Western medicine that I finally found the key. I didn't tell anyone about my decision to test the medicine on myself. On the first day, I felt nothing on my face. On the fifth night, an excruciating, bone-deep pain suddenly erupted. I curled up on the floor, my nails nearly digging into my palms, but I bit down on a towel and endured it with sheer will. A month later, what I saw in the mirror made me cover my mouth. The hideous burn marks were slowly peeling away, revealing tender, new skin beneath. People around me began to notice. "Jenning, you seem a little different." 2 months later, as I peeled off the last dry scab, the mirror reflected a complete, smooth face. Mom pushed the door open and froze for a moment, then rushed over and tightly embraced me, tears streaming down her face. "It's all right, my Jenning, finally. Finally you can stand in the sunlight without fear of anyone's judgment." 19. My second test subject was Mom. Based on my own experience with the drug, I adjusted the dosage. Her suffering was milder than mine, and her recovery time shorter. After all, she only had 2 scars on her face. After recruiting more volunteers and obtaining successful data, I still did not dare to administer the drug to Chensi. As an athlete on the national team, any medication must be handled with extreme caution. When my professor learned of the results, he gave me an excited hug. "Jenning, congratulations. You did it." In the end, I donated this research, the culmination of a lifetime of effort, to the country free of charge. The news was widely reported on television, and I became famous overnight, which also brought troubles I could hardly avoid. The Su family came to our door. Su Yenzhou and Lin Tingxue put on a display of deep familial affection in front of the cameras, hugging me and weeping bitterly. "Yang, we've finally found you. Mom and Dad have missed you so much." I pushed them away directly. "You've got the wrong person. I'm not the Yang you're talking about. My name is Chen Jianing." After being rejected, Lin Tingxue agreed to be interviewed for a family-oriented TV show. "She is my Yang, my own flesh and blood. How could I possibly mistake her?" She sobbed in front of the camera. "I don't know why she won't acknowledge us. Maybe Yang still doesn't realize that her so-called adoptive parents are actually the ones who bought her from the human traffickers in the first place." As soon as she said this, online bullying arrived right on cue, unleashing a tidal wave of malice toward both me and my innocent parents. Go to hell. Buying and selling are equally criminal. The Su family must not let those 2 human traffickers off the hook. Chen Jianing actually sided with the criminals who destroyed her family, breaking her biological parents' hearts. "I heard Chen Dague is a rapist who's done time in prison." "Really? Are you serious?" "If it's true, this family is terrifying." Malice has spilled over from online to offline. The front of our house was splashed with glaring red paint, with the words, "Go die," rotten eggs, spoiled vegetable leaves, and all kinds of trash were scattered everywhere, almost blocking the door. Instead of staying silent, I started a live stream. 20, the camera started rolling. I felt no anger, only looked straight into the lens and spoke my first words. "Before you judge my family, you might want to hear this story, and every single one of you here could be an accomplice." I calmly recounted the encounters of my past life. At the end, I said, "Just to clarify one thing, I'm not the little girl waiting to be saved in the story. I chose to save myself. I was actually awake at the time, and I went with the traffickers voluntarily." Guess why I did that? After saying that, I turned off the live stream. I knew that what I had just said would be the bomb that destroys the Su group. I walked to the window and looked down at the familiar yet unfamiliar figure below. Su Jiali. He looked up at me with complicated emotions in his eyes. I did not go downstairs. Lin Tingxua treated me cruelly, yet gave all her love to him. As siblings, across past and present lives, we were ultimately never meant to be. 21. Sure enough, the next day, Lin Tingxua was taken away by the police for questioning on suspicion of child trafficking. The Su Group's stock price kept hitting the daily limit down. Meanwhile, at my home, a sweet little trouble was unfolding. Ever since my mom watched my live stream last night, she's been hugging me and crying all night long. This morning, wherever I go, she follows. I looked at my father for help. He gave me a helpless smile, spread his hands, and said there was nothing he could do. It suddenly occurred to me that my parents had never had a child of their own all these years, just to keep Chenxi and me from feeling the slightest grievance. Even when I grew older and said I wanted a younger sibling, they would just smile, pat me on the head, and change the subject. Their love, from the very beginning, had been so wholehearted, so careful, and so unwavering. Before I could figure out how to comfort my mother, the door burst open. Chenxi rushed back like a gust of wind, threw herself at me without a word, and hugged me tightly, soaking me with her tears. Well, there it is, I sighed, but couldn't help the smile spreading across my face. I reached out and pulled my tearful mother and sister into my arms. The sunlight outside the window was just right. My new life began. When the destruction ended, and from that destruction, a flower bloomed. 22. Su Jiali brought his grandparents to me, pleading with me to spare the Su family. I looked at the worried expression in my mother's eyes beside me, smiled at them, then turned to the elderly Zus and said calmly, I have never made a move against the Su family. You knew full well back then that Lin Tingxua was mistreating me, yet you chose to look away. Grandfather, grandmother, please go back. This is the last time I will call you that. The two elderly figures left, trembling as they walked away. Su Jiali stopped at the door, without turning back, and his voice came through softly, Sis, in this life, you must find happiness. After that, the Su family completely disappeared from Rongcheng, and I continued on my path, developing a drug 2 years later to enhance soldiers' physiques, and became a military doctor in the army. At the Olympic venue, my whole family was in the stands cheering for Chenxi. The moment she crossed the finish line and the gold medal was placed around her neck, Mom and Dad cheered louder than anyone else. When I was 30, I married him, a man from the military, that boy who, years ago, escaped from a human trafficker's van with his little sister. He and his sister had lost their memories due to a high fever back then. It wasn't until he saw me on TV that he slowly began piecing together the fragments of his childhood. So, did you marry me out of gratitude? I once asked him. Upon hearing this, he tapped my forehead in exasperation. What nonsense are you thinking? Don't you have any idea how charming you are? If I hadn't acted fast, who knows whose wife you'd be by now? Before he finished speaking, he lowered his head and sealed all my doubts with a tender kiss. We kids who crawled out of the dark corners eventually found our own dazzling light under our respective suns. Story 2. School bully Zhou Lin threw his leftover baozi at me. I picked it up and started chewing like crazy. Zhou Lin rolled his eyes at me, then tossed me jianbing guozi, pork tenderloin wraps, and giant chicken drumsticks. Grabbing a plastic bag, I frantically collected everything. Is it New Year's already? Zhou Lin was speechless. Take a closer look. I'm bullying you. I blinked. Bullying comes with this many delicious treats. Can you keep bullying me in the future then? Zhou Lin speechless. Early in the morning, my roommate rushed over to tell me, He Sheng, you're in trouble. I was dizzy with hunger, my limbs trembling, desperately trying to figure out what I could possibly get from the cafeteria with the measly 1.5 yuan left on my meal card. Hearing this, I weakly raised my head. What's wrong? Jiang Wen leaned close to my ear and whispered mysteriously, remember that Gu Lanqi from the next class you pissed off yesterday? His older brother is best friends with Zhou Lin, the school bully. You're screwed. Zhou Lin said he's going to seek justice for his sworn sister. I fell silent. Gu Lanqi, is this really necessary? Right after class yesterday, I dashed to the cafeteria at lightning speed. Halfway there, my last ounce of energy burned out completely. By the time I reached the cafeteria, it was already packed. Holding my tray, starving to death, I waited in line for food, but when I got my meal, my card didn't have enough money. Standing there frozen, I was so embarrassed I could have dug a hole and buried myself. so I shamelessly asked the cafeteria lady, "Can I take these leftovers back?" The cafeteria lady gave me a sideways glance. "You've already got so little food here. Are you on a diet?" I nodded eagerly like pounding garlic. Yes, I'm dieting. You're already this skinny and still trying to lose weight." The cafeteria lady grumbled as she scooped the food back onto my tray. "People heavier than you aren't dieting. So why are you, originally?" The cafeteria lady's remark was just muttered to herself, not aimed at anyone in particular, but as luck would have it, the person behind me in line was Gulanchi. "She's extremely sensitive," she insisted. The cafeteria lady was calling her fat. Truth be told, Gulanchi wasn't really fat, just slightly plump, but compared to my skeletal frame, she looked somewhat plump. She hated nothing more than being called fat, so she flipped my tray, sending the last scraps of my meal crashing to the floor. "Who are you calling fat?" Gulanchi demanded angrily. Seeing the spilled food all over the floor, my temper flared up too. "If you have something to say it properly. Why did you flip my food over?" Gulanchi rolled her eyes. "So what if I flipped it?" I was so furious, I shoved her to the ground in one swift motion, snatched the meal card from her hand, and angrily swiped it for 10 dishes. Then I threw the meal card back at her. "You spilled my food. This is compensation." Gulanchi plopped down on the ground with a thud, tears welling up in her eyes. She glared at me viciously. "You just wait," ignoring her. I picked up my tray and walked away. That day, I enjoyed an unusually satisfying meal. Back in the dorm, several roommates immediately gathered around. "Heard you beat up Gulanchi in the cafeteria. There's already a post on the campus forum saying you even snatched her meal card. Straight up robbery." "Damn, girl, that Gulanchi always acts all high and mighty just because her brother Gu Yun is tight with Zhou Lin, the school bully. You've really done everyone a favor. This is pure alarmism." "What do you mean I hit her?" "I clearly just gave her a slight push, and I didn't steal her meal card either. She spilled my food first, burrowed under my blanket." I opened the campus forum post. The title blared, "Female Warrior Takes on Society's Queen." The comment section exploded. "Who is this hero? Come forth and accept our bows. We've long disliked Gulanchi. OMG. Gulanchi is apparently the sworn sister of school bully Zhou Lin. Girl, you've got guts. Hey sis, I know you're brave, but maybe you should lay low for a couple of days." I heard Zhou Lin seems planning to avenge Gulanchi. Remember last time he broke some off-campus troublemaker's nose? What female warrior? I'm just a starving ghost driven by extreme hunger. There was no other way. My family only gives me 200 yuan allowance per month, and those 200 yuan were what I painstakingly fought for. My mom would only say, "The son next door gets just 100 yuan a month for living expenses in college, and he's doing perfectly fine. Your uncle's daughter doesn't even ask for living expenses in college. She actually sends money home." As for my dad, he'd only dredge up old stories. "When I was in college back then, I only had 50 yuan a month, and didn't I live just fine?" You young people nowadays are never satisfied. 200 yuan a month still isn't enough for you. My silence was deafening. This is 2025, not 1995. I tried to reason with them. What I got in return was even harsher suppression. The house was in constant uproar. I made up my mind then that I'd work part-time jobs to earn my own money once I got to university. Turned out part-time jobs weren't so easy to come by. Positions within the school, such as those in the library and cafeteria, are reserved for students from registered impoverished families. My family owns a car and property in the city, so I definitely don't meet the criteria for poverty-stricken student status. Jobs outside the school either require long-term availability, or they demand night shift work. As a miserable medical student, my schedule is packed every day. Where would I find time for any part-time job? Finally got some money from summer break work, only for my mom to secretly transfer it away, saying it was my tuition fee. Ate my roommate's food twice, then felt too embarrassed to keep doing it. After all, I couldn't afford to treat them either. Every time there's a gathering, I can only use dieting as an excuse to decline. 200 yuan a month for wilderness survival, only to have my meal knocked over. Anyone would be furious. I've heard a thing or two about Zhou Lin. During the previous intercollegiate basketball tournament, my roommate dragged me along to watch. During halftime, Zhou Lin casually lifted his shirt to wipe off sweat, revealing his sexy 8-pack abs. The screams around me were nearly deafening. I shamelessly drooled too. My roommate nudged me. Are you some kind of lustful demon? Why are you staring so hungrily? Alas, they all misunderstood. I was just staring at the girl across from me, gnawing on a roasted chicken leg. The skin was roasted to a crisp, golden brown. One bite would surely send juices flowing. It's just that Zhou Lin happened to be standing right in front of that girl. The boy next to him nudged Zhou Lin's arm and jerked his chin in my direction. Dude, your charm is off the charts. That girl over there is practically drooling while staring at you. Zhou Lin rolled his eyes exasperatedly in my direction and tugged his lifted shirt back down. The spectator stands erupted in collective groans. I'm wailing too, because that girl finished gnawing on the chicken leg. Later, whenever I heard about Zhou Lin again, it was either him fighting with some delinquent, or him smashing up the principal's office, or some girl crying after pursuing him. Anyway, the Zhou family had money to burn. They could afford whatever trouble he caused. Few people at school dared to mess with him. Gu Lanqi's older brother Gu Yun and Zhou Lin were close friends. Inseparable like shadows. Zhou Lin even said Gu Yun's little sister was like his own, so Gu Lanqi, relying on this connection, carried herself with arrogant pride, looking down her nose at everyone. I originally thought her threat to make me wait was just empty talk, but I never expected she'd actually go complain to Zhou Lin, and Zhou Lin really did come seeking revenge. I fell silent, yet before fear could set in, hunger pangs struck first from my stomach. I glanced at my roommate. I'm going to grab a steamed bun from the cafeteria first. Let him do whatever he wants to me. Best case scenario, he slaps me and gives me 30 grand. Truth be told, I wasn't that scared after all. Instead, I felt a little excited. The school was covered in surveillance cameras everywhere. Even if he hits me, he won't get away with it. When the time comes, I might even be able to extort a hefty sum from him. I held my meal card with only 1 yuan and 50 cents left, thinking about buying a steamed bun from the cafeteria. Just as I got my hands on the warm bun and took a couple of bites, I heard someone call my name coldly. He Sheng. I turned my head and saw Zhou Ling lounging with one leg crossed over the other, propping himself up on the table with one hand, watching me lazily. He was followed by several men, likely his roommates. The one on the right was Gu Lanqi's brother, Gu Yun, crossing his arms. He spoke first. So you're the one who hit my sister. I wolfed down the steamed bun in my hand with a look of grim determination. Gu Yun glanced at Zhou Lin and said, Lanqi went home crying and throwing tantrums, refusing to eat for several days, saying she wanted to lose weight. She said this woman called her a fat pig, hit her, and stole her meal card. No way. Are you adding fuel to the fire? I opened my mouth to defend myself. She flipped my food first, and I didn't even hit her, just gave her a little push. I gave her meal card back ages ago. Who told her to flip my food? Asking for some compensation is totally reasonable, right? Gu Yun sneered. So you're saying my sister lied? She's been obedient her whole life. How could she possibly lie? I stared wordlessly at the group of men before me, unwilling to speak. Zhou Lin picked up a half-eaten bun from the table, weighed it in his hand twice, then tossed it toward me. When it comes to food, my eyes are measuring tapes. I snatched the bun midair and stuffed it into my mouth, chewing vigorously. So delicious, it's actually beef filled, not like the 151s earlier that only had vermicelli filling. Zhou Lin speechless, Gu Yun speechless. A group of men nearby were speechless. After finishing my steamed bun, I looked longingly at the few remaining buns on Zhou Lin's desk. I swallowed hard. Any more left? They're surprisingly delicious. Gu Yun bristled with anger. Brother Lin, this little bitch is provoking you. With that, he grabbed a steamed bun from the table and hurled it at me again. I leaped up and caught the bun firmly in my hand, continuing to munch away. Gu Yun, flushed with anger, grabbed the remaining buns on the table and threw them all at me. I spin and leap, grabbing 2 with my left hand, 2 with my right, and 1 between my teeth. All the buns land securely in my grasp. A group of grown men stare dumbfounded. Gu Yun's eyes nearly pop out of his head. How did you do that? Munching on a bun. I reply, easy, easy. Just starve for 10 days or half a month and you'll get the hang of it. Thanks for the hospitality. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. How dare they throw meat buns at me? I'll show them what it means to come at me and never return. With several large buns stuffed in my pockets, I swaggered out of the cafeteria. I'm set for meals for the next few days. I'll be able to ask my mom for money again at the end of the month, I thought to myself gleefully. I originally thought that after the cafeteria incident, Zhou Lin's threat to get back at me would be the end of it. Unexpectedly, the next day when I dragged my exhausted body out of the lab building, someone cornered me against the wall again. Class had just ended, and a bustling crowd of students streamed out of the teaching building. I was cornered by 3 or 5 male students. Hard to go unnoticed in that situation. Zhou Lin was somewhat of a celebrity at school, someone nobody dared to cross. Many glanced at me before hurrying away, whispering among themselves in hushed tones. Who is this, so unlucky to have offended Zhou Lin? Could it be that strong girl from the campus forum a few days ago, the one who hit Gu Lanqi? She looks so thin and small. How pitiful. Some of the bolder ones secretly took photos with their phones. Zhou Lin shot a frosty glare that sent the man scrambling away with his tail between his legs, hastily pocketing his phone. Well, you might dodge today, but you can't dodge forever. Once Zhou Lin beats me up, I can extort some money from him. Gu Yun said nonchalantly, go apologize to my sister, and we'll consider this matter settled. We're grown men. It's not right for us to hit women. I lifted my chin. Why should I apologize? If anything, she should be the one apologizing to me. Gu Yun grabbed me by the collar. You little bitch, do you really think we wouldn't dare lay a hand on you? I stiffened my neck and remained silent. Zhou Lin gestured, and his lackey immediately handed him a black backpack. He pulled out a scallion pancake from it and tossed it toward me. Then came the pork tenderloin patties, giant chicken legs, spicy turkey noodles. Gu Yun had me by the scruff of the neck, so I couldn't reach for any of those things. Fortunately this time, everything Zhou Lin threw was properly packaged, perfectly edible even after hitting the ground. My eyes widened in utter disbelief. Gu Yun released me and cleared his throat. See that? That's what happens when you piss us off. How shameful it must feel to get pelted with food. I couldn't even see anyone else through my rage. The ground is covered with delicious food. How is this any different from humiliating me with money? Please give me just a little more. I pulled out a plastic bag from my pocket, crouched down, and started frantically picking up everything. Is it New Year's already? Gu Yun speechless, Zhou Lin speechless, the remaining group of men speechless. I picked up a full bag and walked away contentedly, carrying the plastic bag. Zhou Lin stretched out his long arm to stop me. I looked up and saw his exasperated expression. He grabbed the back collar of my shirt and lifted me up like a chick, pulling me right in front of him. Take a good look. I'm bullying you. I blinked and hugged the food in my arms tighter. So this is why being bullied comes with so many delicious treats. Does this mean you'll keep bullying me from now on? Zhou Lin fell silent. Everyone fell silent. He released his grip, and I stumbled forward a couple of steps, crossing his arms. Zhou Lin looked exasperated. Were you a starving ghost in your past life or something? I don't know if I starved to death in my past life, but I'm definitely about to starve to death in this one. I pulled out a pork tenderloin patty from the plastic bag and started munching. So, munch munch, will you? Munch munch. Still bully, munch munch, me. When he didn't respond, I took another bite of the patty and tilted my head to look at him. Zhou Lin looked at me helplessly. Bullying. Bullying, don't worry. Go on, go eat. Hugging a huge pile of snacks joyfully, I was about to leave when I heard Gu Yun's wail behind me. Brother Lin, humiliating her with food is completely useless. You threw food at her, and she picked it up and ate it. Otherwise we. Zhou Lin's icy voice cut in. Then what do you want to do? Are you actually going to hit a woman? Gu Yun fell silent. I pricked up my ears eavesdropping when Zhou Lin shot me a glance and drawled lazily. What? You still got business here. I turned around and gave him an awkward smile. Next time I'd like to try luoxifen. Gu Yun exploded. Hey, don't push your luck. You really think our brother Lin is some kind of menu you can order from? I looked at Zhou Lin and asked cautiously, is that okay? Zhou Lin chuckled softly, his beautiful peach blossom eyes narrowing slightly. He said, sure. A crowd of people stared at Zhou Lin as if they'd seen a ghost. I returned to my dormitory happily, arms full of snacks. The next day, Zhou Lin actually brought me stinky rice noodles as promised, but he seemed to really dislike the smell, his brows furrowing so deeply they nearly formed the character, Chuan. Spotting me, Zhou Lin said impatiently, hurry up and take this, it stinks to high heaven. To my surprise, He didn't throw the stinky rice noodles at me but actually held them out properly, shuffling forward with mincing steps. I awkwardly took the pungent noodles from him. That's strange. Why aren't you throwing this at me today, the way you're handing it to me makes it seem like you bought it specially for me to eat, not bullying me. I'm actually kind of embarrassed. Zhou Lin laughed angrily, leaning against the wall. He raised an eyebrow at me. He Sheng, have you developed an addiction to being hit? This stuff stinks so bad, all soupy and messy. If I dump it on you, would you still eat it? Whatever, beggars can't be choosers. I popped open the lid of the luoxifen and started slurping up the noodles, the golden, glossy broth paired with noodles soaked in flavor and crispy fried eggs. One bite brings indescribable satisfaction. I devoured it eagerly, tilting my head back to finish every last drop of soup. Zhou Lin pinched his nose, eyeing me with undisguised disgust. With a contented sigh, I tossed the takeout box into the trash, only to turn and find Zhou Lin still standing there. I asked, "Do you still have something to say?" Zhou Lin rubbed his neck and walked up to me. "From now on, come find me at mealtimes, eat with me." My eyes widened. "Huh, with your whole gang of brothers, or just you alone?" "Of course it's just me." I quickly shook my head. "That won't do. How about you just throw food at me instead? Otherwise, I won't be able to eat this meal peacefully." Zhou Lin scoffed. "What, are you going to turn your back on me after finishing the food?" I hunched my shoulders. "No, eating together feels a bit ambiguous to me." "What do you mean?" I thought for a moment, then began counting on my fingers to explain. "First, people who frequently eat together are either close friends or couples. Clearly, since we're not close friends, it's easy for others to mistake us for a couple. Secondly, haven't you heard the saying, romance often starts with countless meals shared together? Dining together is considered quite an intimate act. Thirdly, it's not appropriate for a man and woman to be alone together." Zhou Lin let out an exasperated laugh. He ruffled my hair. "What's going on in that head of yours? Can't you tell I'm bullying you?" I shook my head. I really couldn't tell. Zhou Lin raised an eyebrow. "I remember you calling Gu Lanqi fat. That wasn't me who said it. How many times do I have to explain before someone believes me? Actually, I'm quite envious of her body type, pleasantly plump and curvaceous." Zhou Lin smiled. "Whether it was you or not, the fact is she's refusing to eat because she thinks she's fat compared to you. So then," he paused, curling his lips slightly, "if you get fatter than her from eating, she won't think so anymore." As expected, it's still all for Gu Lanqi's sake, fattening me up to vent Gu Lanqi's anger. What a novel form of bullying, but this works in my favor. At least I won't have to worry about going hungry anymore. That works. I relented. Zhou Lin pulled my phone from my coat pocket and saved his contact information. He waved the phone at me, slipping one hand into his pocket as he stepped back. "Waiting to treat you to dinner, little glutton. My life's really looking up. I've landed myself a permanent meal ticket." I have to say, Zhou Lin has been eating exceptionally well this week. Hot pot every other day, seafood buffet every 3 days. The hot pot bubbled merrily, its crimson broth churning vigorously, dipping tender beef slices and tripe into the prepared sauce before stuffing them into my mouth. The flavors were so divine I could practically devour an entire cow. When it comes to seafood buffets, there's no need to even mention plump and juicy abalone, flavorful garlic crayfish, and large crabs brimming with roe. While I was eating, Zhou Lin rested his chin on one hand, watching me with an amused smirk. I suspect he's supervising me to make sure I gain weight quickly. Every time I go out to eat with Zhou Lin, I do it sneakily. I really don't want people to misunderstand that I'm dating Zhou Lin, but you can't stay by the river without getting your shoes wet. Someone took photos of me having dinner with Zhou Lin and posted them on the campus forum, with quite an eye-catching title, "The Deeply Passionate School Bully and His Girlfriend Who Only Cares About Eating." The person who took this photo has got some skills. In the photo, Zhou Lin's gaze towards me is so tender it could overflow with affection, those peach blossom eyes brimming with deep emotion. Meanwhile, I've practically buried my head in my bowl, completely absorbed in eating. The comments section is buzzing with discussion. "This girl looks familiar. I feel like I've seen her on the campus wall before. Isn't she that female warrior who hit Gu Lanqi? Yes, it's her. Look at this side profile comparison. Though she seems a bit chubbier now, her facial features haven't changed. What's going on here? Did the school bully fall for her while helping Gulanchi get revenge? Not gonna lie, this really has that romance novel vibe. I'll ship it first. My roommates even cornered me on my bed, pressing me with questions. Are you dating Zhou Lin? No wonder you've gained some weight recently and even your complexion looks better. Turns out love's been nourishing you. Speak up. How did you two get together? I couldn't defend myself no matter how hard I tried. We really aren't dating. He just wanted to make me gain weight so Gulanchi wouldn't feel sad. One roommate rubbed his chin. That doesn't add up. What's wrong? She looked like she had it all figured out. If he really just wanted to make you fat, why wouldn't he let you eat those high-calorie junk foods? Instead, he takes you out for these fancy meals. That seafood buffet costs this much for one meal. She silently held up 5 fingers. 500, 50,000. I must be really broke. When I heard 50,000, I even counted the zeros on my fingers. The notification sound for a phone message chimed. I glanced at it. Zhou Lin had sent me a message. Come down, let's eat. I closed my eyes briefly, then typed through the pain. Not eating. From now on, I won't be eating with you anymore. Zhou Lin, ? I replied instantly. Your goal has been achieved. I've gained 10 pounds. Please stop now. Then I blocked and deleted him. This whole month I've been eating meals with Zhou Lin. The 200 yuan disaster relief money my mom gave me hasn't even been touched. I did the math. 1 steamed bun in the morning, just 1 baozi for lunch and dinner. More than enough to get through this month. Ever since I blocked and deleted Zhou Lin, he hasn't come looking for me, probably because he felt his pride was hurt, just as well. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. Zhou Lin and I were never meant to walk the same path anyway. Once again rushing to the cafeteria to grab food, and of all people, I ran into Gulanchi. She must have been dieting. She looked noticeably thinner than the last time we met. When she saw me, Gulanchi proactively handed me her meal card. I'm sorry, last time was my fault. I apologize to you. Here, take my meal card, order whatever you want. It's on me. I stood frozen in place, utterly dumbfounded. Rumor had it that ever since that incident, Gulanchi's arrogant and domineering attitude had significantly toned down. Now she wasn't so haughty anymore. She'd become much more normal overall. The campus forum all credited me for it. They said I beat some sense into her, literally knocked her back to sanity. At the time I didn't take it seriously, thinking those forum comments were just exaggerations. Turns out they were right. I took the meal card with skepticism and pointed at my own head. Is everything okay up there? Gulanchi flushed red with anger. What do you mean by that? Are you saying I'm crazy? Forget it then. If you don't want my meal card, yes, I quickly reassured her, ordering 2 dishes and sitting down with her in the cafeteria to eat. Gulanchi only took a small portion of food. It seemed she really was dieting. I asked, why have you changed so much? Gulanchi picked up a piece of celery and chewed it thoughtfully. After seeing myself on the campus gossip wall, I finally realized how much everyone had disliked me before. They just didn't dare to speak their minds. My brother spoiled me growing up. Brother Lin treated me well too, and everyone around me was always respectful. No one ever told me the truth. I had no idea I was so annoying before. Chewing on braised pork, I mumbled, it's fine. Recognizing your mistakes and correcting them is the greatest virtue. You're actually not fat at all. I really envy your figure. Don't be fooled by how thin I am. It's all from starving, with only 200 yuan for living expenses each month. Staying thin is unavoidable. 200, Gulanchi's eyes widened in shock. How do you survive on just 200? I sighed helplessly. No choice. My parents won't give me any money. My dear mother keeps saying other kids only need 100 yuan for living expenses in college, and even send money back home. My dear father keeps reminiscing about the old days, saying he only had 50 yuan a month when he was in school. Gulanchi frowned. Let me say something unpleasant. Do you happen to have a younger brother? I nodded. True, but my brother's got it rough too. He only gets 200 for living expenses. Gulanchi shook her head. Absolutely impossible. There's no way your parents don't know the current cost of living. If they're treating you like this, they must be giving what should rightfully be yours to someone else. Think carefully about the differences between you and your younger brother. I froze. I remember asking my brother how much allowance he got, and he told me he only had 200 too, but it seems he never fought with our parents over money. When I argued with mom and dad, He would just watch from the side, sometimes even trying to mediate. His major wasn't very demanding, so he had time to take on part-time jobs, so I thought he earned it himself. Gulanchi's words planted seeds of doubt in my heart. On weekends, to save money, I endured a 7-hour bus ride home with multiple transfers. My parents started nagging again when they saw me come home, going on about how capable other people's daughters and sons were. They even said my coming back was a waste of money. I ignored them and quietly took my mom's phone when she wasn't looking. The password wasn't her birthday, it was my brother's. I clicked into the chat between my mom and my brother, and was stunned. She only transfers me 200 yuan for living expenses each month, but sends my brother 4,000. My mom even thoughtfully added, "I'll buy your daily necessities separately, just tell me what you need." My brother replied half-heartedly, "Oh, then buy me these sneakers." After saying that, he sent over a link to basketball shoes costing 6,000 yuan, and my mom actually bought them. My brother, last time my sister asked me how much allowance I had. My mom, "What did you say? You didn't spill the beans, did you?" My brother, "I said I only have 202. My mom, "Right, that's exactly what you should say. Don't let your sister find out, or there won't be any extra money left for you to spend." My brother, all right, I got it." Reading the chat history, I felt chills run down my spine. They weren't unaware of how much living expenses cost for college students nowadays. They simply didn't want to give it to me. On the surface, they treated us equally, but secretly, they favored my younger brother, and then they drowned me in a basketful of grand justifications. I took my phone outside to confront my mom. "You give me 200 for living expenses each month, but give my brother 4,000. A flicker of panic crossed my mother's face. She snatched the phone from my hand. "What are you doing grabbing my phone like that? Is this how I raised you? So rude." I laughed bitterly. "I starved and froze at school, eating nothing but steamed buns every day. Yet you didn't even blink buying your son 6,000 yuan sneakers, the money I earned from summer jobs. You secretly transferred it away, saying it was for my tuition, when others bullied me, throwing food at me. I actually thought it was Chinese New Year. If you didn't want me, then you shouldn't have had me." My mom was initially feeling a bit guilty, but hearing me say that made her temper flare up. She planted her hands on her hips. "How dare you speak to your parents like that? How can children judge their parents right or wrong? I gave your brother more allowance because he's a boy. He needs to date. If you're broke, just find a boyfriend to date, then you'll have money to spend." My dad came out hearing the argument outside. "What's all this noise? You survived on just 200 yuan a month, didn't you? That was us parents giving you a chance to toughen up. Whenever you face setbacks in the future, remember the life you're living now. That's how you'll get through them." Turns out the whole family knew about this matter. They were just keeping it from me, without even turning my head. I went back to my room to pack my things. "Fine, from now on, just pretend you never had a daughter. The house, the car, the money, I don't want any of it. Keep it all for your precious son. Don't come looking for me when you're old, or I'll pull your oxygen tubes myself." I packed my bags and walked out without looking back. My mother's curses still chased after me. I blocked every single family member's contact. My brother called me using his roommate's phone. He said, "Sis, Mom and Dad already know they were wrong. They just can't swallow their pride. They said they can raise your living allowance to 1,000. So stop making trouble." I laughed bitterly. What's with this sanctimonious act from someone who's already benefiting? You've been living it up with money that rightfully belonged to me, haven't you? I've said it before. I want nothing. From now on, I have absolutely no ties left with anyone in this family. If you dare harass me again, I'll make a PowerPoint and expose all of you online. I'll ruin their careers and make you famous. Believe me, don't count on me for your retirement either. I swear I'll be the first to pull their oxygen tubes. My brother fell silent. I hung up the phone, staring at the blank white ceiling as I sighed heavily. Cutting ties with my parents meant I'd no longer even receive those 200 yuan in living expenses. Medical school schedules were packed, and summer break still felt impossibly far away. I've decided to take on those night shift part-time jobs, though there's a risk of sudden death. It's still better than starving to death. A KTV near campus was hiring fruit platter cutters and drink servers, with shifts from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. the next day, paying 100 yen daily with same-day payment. I calculated my schedule. If I didn't have evening classes, I could finish school at 6 p.m., rush back to dormitory to sleep until 7:30 p.m., then after getting off work at 5 a.m., run back to dormitory again to sleep until 8 a.m. You can get about 4 hours of sleep a day, as long as you don't keep it up long term. You probably won't drop dead. Working 5 days a month for 500 yuan would let me live quite comfortably. It's just a bit exhausting, but there's no other way. I went for the job interview and got hired effortlessly. On my first day at work, everything seemed normal at first, just cutting fruit platters and serving drinks, but after midnight, some unruly customers started getting handsy with me. The private room was thick with smoke, where several burly men smoking cigarettes stared at me with lecherous eyes. Feeling extremely uncomfortable, I put down the fruit platter and prepared to leave. A man suddenly grabbed my hand and pinched my waist. "Hey sweetheart, how about a drink with your big brother?" I shook off his hand and ran to find the manager to report the harassment. The manager took a drag of his cigarette and looked at me meaningfully. "You think we hire waitresses just to be waitresses? Otherwise?" I was somewhat confused. The supervisor blew a smoke ring. "How much can you really earn as a waiter? You folks who are willing to come here must be pretty desperate for money, right? Just spend one night with those big brothers, and you'll make several thousand in a single evening." So on the surface they were hiring waitstaff, but in reality they were tricking people into becoming prostitutes. I was trembling with rage, grabbing the drink from the bar counter and splashing it in the manager's face. I quit. I turned to leave, but the manager grabbed my arm. "Who the hell do you think you are? Someone, come hold her down." Several thugs behind him moved to grab me. I suddenly bit his hand hard and turned to flee desperately. I've never run so desperately in my life. When I'd completely shaken them off and reached a deserted spot, I crouched under a streetlight and burst into loud sobs. How could my life be so miserable? I was already starving, and running so hard felt like it drained every last bit of my strength. My stomach growled loudly in protest. I should have stolen more bites while cutting the fruit earlier. Amidst my sobs, I suddenly heard a familiar voice. "Brother Lin, isn't that the little starving ghost?" I looked up and saw Zhou Lin standing under the streetlight with his gang. Zhou Lin had a lollipop dangling from his mouth, his jacket slung over one shoulder, frowning as he stared in my direction. I quickly lowered my head, burying my face in the crook of my arm. What an absolute embarrassment. Zhou Lin walked over to me, crouched down, and draped his coat over my shoulders. "What are you doing wandering the streets so late?" I mumbled sulkily. "You're wandering around too." Zhou Lin burst out laughing. "How could I be the same as you straight-A students? Get up, I'll take you home." I grabbed his arm and looked up at him. "Zhou Lin, I'm hungry. I want to eat." Zhou Lin froze for a moment, then patted my head. "All right, then let's go eat." Few restaurants stay open late at night. With only one barbecue stall still operating, I devoured 10 large chicken legs, 50 skewers of pork belly, 10 portions of grilled tofu and sweet potato skins in one go. Zhou Lin and his friends watched nearby, utterly dumbfounded. The more I ate, the more I wanted to cry, tears streaming uncontrollably down my face. Zhou Lin pulled out a tissue and wiped my tears. "Need another one?" I nodded. "Can I get this to go?" Zhou Lin smiled helplessly and asked the owner to grill the rest for takeout. Carrying a large bag of barbecue, I followed them back to school. His brothers walked ahead, while Zhou Lin and I walked side by side behind them. The moonlight was beautiful tonight, casting a hazy glow that made Zhou Lin's face appear even more handsome. I could actually hear the thunderous pounding of my own heart. I must be starving out of my mind. How dare I have such thoughts about Zhou Lin? I shook my head vigorously, trying to rid myself of these messy ideas. Walking silently to the school gate, I bowed deeply to Zhou Lin and his friend in gratitude. Gu Yunji waved his hands dismissively. "Hey, what's this for? We don't deserve such formality. It's just a meal, and it's Brother Lin treating us, not our treat." Zhou Lin reached his hand toward me. "What?" I asked in confusion. "Give me your phone." I handed him my phone, and he added his contact information back. "Keep having meals with me from now on." "Got it." For some reason, Zhou Lin ruffled my hair and said, "Don't feel pressured about it. You eat with such gusto. Watching you eat makes me want an extra bowl myself. Just think of yourself as my personal mukbang streamer." "Oh," I responded softly. So he was treating me like a mukbang streamer. When you can't even afford to live, there's no room for pretenses. When the semester ended, I ranked first in my major and received a 5,000 yuan scholarship. I'll find another summer job to work, so next semester's tuition will be covered. After having meals with Zhou Lin, I realized my learning ability has improved qualitatively. Before, I was constantly starving and malnourished, couldn't even think straight. Now my mind is sharp and clear. I actually managed to win first-class scholarship. A gift from another's hand feels heavy, so I decided to give Zhou Lin a small present. Zhou Lin glanced at me carelessly. What could you possibly give me? What do you want? I asked, resting his chin on one hand. Zhou Lin curled his lips. Well, come shopping with me at the mall tomorrow. I'll pick something out. Fine. I clutched the freshly issued scholarship money, still warm in my hand, praying that whatever he picked wouldn't be too expensive. Yet after circling the entire mall, he ended up buying nothing at all. Instead, he dragged me into stores and kept trying everything on me. This outfit seems to suit you quite well. That hat looks nice on you. These shoes are quite stylish. Clerk, put it on my card. In the end, I was carrying bags big and small while his hands remained empty. I couldn't help but ask, Zhou Lin, stop buying things for me. What is it you really want? Zhou Lin glanced at me and pointed at the claw machine behind me. You, get me a plush toy. This one. He raised an eyebrow. Yeah, this one. I've never managed to grab it before. I walked up to the claw machine and bought 20 yuan worth of tokens. I thought I wouldn't be able to grab anything, but surprisingly, I got it with just 5 tokens. Zhou Lin took the chubby little bear from my hands and gave it a squeeze. It's adorable. I really like it, he said, feeling a bit embarrassed. I offered, how about you pick another one? Zhou Lin pinched my cheek. This is enough. He turned and walked away. I quickly picked up my things and followed behind him. Sis, what are you doing here? I froze mid-step, turning around blankly to see my younger brother and my mom. Mom had brought my brother to the mall to shop. She glanced at the bags in my hands, then sized up Zhou Lin before sneering. I knew it. If you're short on money, just get yourself a boyfriend. Your brother is a boy, so naturally he needs more money than you. He's not like you. You still have your body as capital to exchange for money. With Zhou Lin still present, my mother's words made me want to sink through the floor from sheer embarrassment. Zhou Lin gave a cold laugh. Auntie, what exactly do you mean by that? Times have changed, and your son's type is actually more popular now. He could sell himself front and back. As it happens, I know a few people who are into your son's type. Should I introduce them? Let your son experience what it feels like to use his body as capital to earn money. My brother instantly flushed crimson with rage. What the hell do you mean by that? Zhou Lin smiled. What your mom means is exactly what I mean. What? You're fine with your mom talking about your sister that way, but when the exact same words are said about you, suddenly you've got a big problem. My brother rolled up his sleeves, ready to fight him. Zhou Lin stuffed the teddy bear into my arms and rolled up his sleeves too. My brother doesn't work out. His build is as thin as a bean sprout. He caught sight of Zhou Lin's well-defined forearm muscles and silently rolled his sleeves back down. My mother was furious. Have you no manners at all? Do you have any manners? Zhou Lin sneered. What did I say? I merely repeated your words to your son. What's the matter? Can't take it. Then how come that filthy mouth of yours was spewing shit just now? My mother couldn't out-argue him. She stood frozen for a long moment before pulling out her phone to call my father. You wait, just wait till my husband gets here. He'll settle accounts with you. Zhou Lin smirked insolently. Oh ho, what a delicate little wife we have here, running to her hubby crying, wah, whenever trouble comes. How old are you this year? I never knew Zhou Lin's mouth could be so sharp, but if my dad really came, then there'd be 3 of them. The odds wouldn't be in our favor. I gently tugged at his sleeve. Zhou Lin patted my hand. My father came rushing over angrily, shouting from afar, that bastard bullied my wife and son. Zhou Lin turned around, and my father froze. His voice immediately softened. Young Master Zhou, what brings you here? Zhou Lin squinted at him for a long moment before suddenly realizing, oh, you're that assistant of my dad's. I was stunned. My brother and mom were clearly confused too. My dad rubbed his hands together. Yes, that's me. Zhou Lin chuckled. I'm the one who offended your wife and son. What are you going to do about it? My father forced an awkward smile and apologized. They must have upset you somehow. Hurry up and apologize. My younger brother clearly wasn't willing. My father roared at him. Apologize. He reluctantly said, sorry. My mom, being quick to read expressions, immediately smiled and said, oh dear, I must have been blind earlier. My apologies for offending you. Please don't take it to heart. Zhou Lin couldn't be bothered with them and just pulled me away. What's going on at your place? He asked me. I hung my head and confessed everything truthfully. Zhou Lin fell silent for a moment, then patted my head. Don't be afraid, I'm here. I looked up and met his mesmerizing peach blossom eyes. Her heart began pounding uncontrollably once again. Zhou Lin, do you like me? I mustered up the courage to ask. I do, Zhou Lin answered candidly. I liked you a little from the first time I saw you, watching my abs drool on the basketball court was kind of silly, I muttered. I wasn't looking at you. What do you mean? Were you looking at someone else? Zhou Lin frowned. I was actually looking at that girl across from us eating a chicken leg. I bet it smelled delicious. Zhou Lin burst out laughing. You little glutton. He bent slightly at the waist, smiling into my eyes. Then would you consider dating me? There'll be plenty of good food. You said, feelings start from countless meals shared together. We've eaten so many meals together. I refuse to believe you don't feel anything for me. I stood on tiptoe, planted a kiss on his cheek, then ran off with flushed cheeks. Zhou Lin watched my retreating figure and chuckled softly. Later, Zhou Lin asked me once if I ever wanted to see my father and them again. I shook my head as if it were the most natural thing in the world. That very day, my father was transferred to work in Africa. Unable to endure the loneliness across continents, my mother sold our city apartment and car, then ran off with the money and another man. My father rushed back overnight to file lawsuits, leaving our family in complete disarray. My brother Yaozu has been left to his own devices, with no one looking after him and his living expenses cut off. Accustomed to extravagant spending, he resorted to stealing from his roommates and classmates when the money ran out. Amount substantial enough to warrant jail time. Without repayment, prison awaits. Our parents refused to intervene. He called me, sobbing, sis, I'm begging you, please help me pay back the money, otherwise I'll really end up in jail. I sneered, what's that got to do with me? Did you spend even a cent of that stolen money on me? Then I decisively hung up the phone. Truly, what goes around comes around. Karma never misses its mark. Just as I hung up the phone, Zhou Lin's message popped up, come downstairs, let's eat. I pursed my lips and replied instantly, coming. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. 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 Next time.